They follow GPD Adventure. Tonight on GPD TV, Dr. Marty Walsh is discussing how to follow plans for taking control of your reactions to stress and anxiety, using proven clinical techniques to harness the power of imagination that creates joy and stress, and Healing Minds with Marty Walsh. That's tonight at 7 on GPD TV.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Walter Siegel.
And I'm Ari Shapiro. Here's a riddle for the digital age. Why did the scientists create a robot that hurts humans? Answers on this week's All Tech Considered. The science fiction author Isaac Asimov famously created the laws of robotics. The first one is that a robot should never harm a human being. But one artist/roboticist has inverted that law to provoke discussion about a future where robots may have the power to make choices about human life. NPR's Laura Seidel.
MIT-trained roboticist and artist Alexander Revin admits his robot has no practical purpose. It's designed to prick human fingers.
It hurts a person, obviously in the most minimal way with this needle, and it makes a decision in a way that me as the creator cannot predict. So the idea is that when you put yourself in this robot, it will decide whether or not to hurt and injure you. There's no human in the loop in this decision.
It's not a very elaborate robot, just a robotic arm on a platform. It's smaller than a human arm, but shaped a little like the arm of one of those excavators they use for construction. Instead of a shovel on the end, there's a pin.
And you put your hand near the robot, and it senses you. Then it goes through an algorithm to decide whether or not it's then going to put the needle through your finger.
I dare to put my finger beneath the arm. It swings past me several times, and then... Oh! The waiting is the hardest part. And in case you were wondering, each needle is sterilized. Revin says the point of this robotic sculpture is to get people to think about a world in which programmed machines like self-driving cars make the decisions for humans. For example, what would happen if a self-driving vehicle must decide whether to drive you into a tree or hit a group of pedestrians?
The answer might even be that, well, these machines are going to make decisions so much better than humans can do the problem. They're going to be so much more ethical than a human could ever be.
But what about the people who actually get into those cars?
If you get into cars, you have the choice to not be taken.
And people want to have that choice. A recent poll by MIT Media Lab found that half of the people in the survey would buy a driverless car that put the highest protection on passenger safety. But only 19% said they'd buy a car programmed to save the most lives. The popular science fiction author, Isaac Asimov, inspired Revin's work. Asimov even made up laws for robots. One of his stories, I, Robot, was made into a film starring Will Smith. Smith plays an emotional cop chasing a killer robot. Here's a scene where he's speaking with a roboticist played by Bridget Moynihan.
A robot cannot harm a human being. The first law of robotics.
Yeah, I know, I've seen your commercials. But doesn't the second law state that a robot has to obey any order given by a human being? What if it was given in order to kill?
Or hurt someone. Asimov's laws for robots are often cited by scientists in the field as a kind of inspiration and talking point as we move towards a world of increasingly sophisticated machines. And Asimov's stories often show how no matter how hard humans try to program robots not to harm people, complicated situations arise.
The ability to even program these fictional laws into a robot is very difficult. And what they actually mean when you really try to analyze them is quite gray. It's a quite fuzzy area.
For example, should a programmer design a robot that will never hurt a person, even if doing that would save another life? Revin says the point of making his robot is to put something in the world now before machines have those powers in, say, self-driving cars.
If you see a video of a robot making someone bleed, all of a sudden it taps into the viral nature of things, and now you really have to confront it as something different.
And you can go online and watch Revin's robot and ponder the power that our future overlords will have over us someday. Laura Seidel, NPR News.
Our world shifted 25 years ago this month with a milestone in the development of the Internet. In August 1991, a British computer scientist named Tim Berners-Lee posted this announcement online about something that he'd been working on. Subject, World Wide Web. Summary.
Quote, The www project merges the techniques of information retrieval and hypertext to make an easy but powerful global information system.
With his message, Berners-Lee was beginning to introduce the World Wide Web to the world. The version had been operating internally for about a year at the CERN facility in Switzerland.
Thinking about this moment sent us back to NPR's archives to check out how we covered the early days of the World Wide Web. We found this piece from June 6, 1995, as the web was beginning to explode.
There's been a lot of talk about webs over the past year and a half. The part of the internet known as the World Wide Web has been growing at a phenomenal pace.
And at this point, Robert, you jumped in to explain what your co-host Noah Adams was referring to there.
The web, abbreviated it's www, is the multimedia part of the internet where you can look at still pictures or video and listen to music, all on a modem-equipped PC.
You didn't mention cat videos, but otherwise very good, I would say.
I had no idea what I was saying. Although it's hard to believe this now, the World Wide Web and the whole idea of websites was still blossoming in 1995, but the potential for growth was underlined that year by our technology reporter, John McChesney.
Right now, no one is entirely certain just how many individuals or businesses have set up home pages on the web. According to Sun Microsystems, which sells most of the computers used as web servers, the total number of websites is around 30,000, and that number is doubling every 2 months.
In 1995, that was an impressive total. Today, there are 1 billion websites, according to The Atlantic. Here at NPR, of course, we have mobile apps, streaming, live video. Then, we had radio instructions for how to click links on our website.
Click yourself to National Public Radio's homepage, for example. One of the blue lines next to the NPR logo says NPR Audio on the net. Real audio. Click on that, and you're off to a computer in Seattle run by Progressive Networks. On their homepage, you download free their software called Real Audio. Then, click on the NPR logo. On the page, up comes a menu to say, all things considered. Click on the list of rights.
December of 1999, the World Wide Web had become enough of a thing to prompt a listener to write to the show suggesting we should write a musical called Website Story.
So, we did, really.
Safeguarding it, quote, the first step is to answer one simple question: what kind of web do we want?
Support for All Tech Considered comes from Carbonite, a cloud backup and restore solution for office and home computers. Learn more at carbonite.com. And from Epson, offering cartridge-free printing with EcoTank, their refillable ink tank printer. EcoTank comes with up to 2 years of ink for printing up to 8,000 pages.
You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR member stations and from Avalara, tax automation for businesses of all sizes. Avalara works to simplify sales tax and other business taxes with real-time rates and automatic filing. At Avalara.com, AVALARA.com. From the George Lucas Educational Foundation, creator of Edutopia, celebrating 25 years of showcasing what works in K-12 education. Learn more at edutopia.org. From Visit St. Pete Clearwater, offering 35 miles of white sand Florida beaches, and the Dali Museum, presenting Farron Audrey, The Invention of Food, September 26th through November 27th, at visitstpeteclearwater.com. And from the listeners who support this NPR station. This is GTV Atlanta with news and information from Georgia Public Broadcasting on 88.5 FM, Georgia State University's WRIF and WRIF HD1 Atlanta. Support for GTV programs comes from our listeners. And Rival Entertainment presenting the 50th anniversary celebration of the Beach Boys' infamous Pet Sounds album, performed live in concert at Atlanta's Fox Theater Friday, September 9th with Brian Wilson, Al Jardine, and Blondie Chaplin.
You're listening to 88.5 GTB Atlanta. I'm Ellen Reinhardt. We are licensed to Georgia State University, ranked among the top universities in the nation in commitment to undergraduate teaching. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we've got Marketplace at 6 o'clock.
Is supported by Captricity, software designed to transform handwritten forms into digital data. Captricity helps insurance, healthcare, and government organizations go digital without disruption. Captricity.com.
Brand name or generic drugs? Generics or brand name drugs? Consumers might save money, drug companies win either way. The EpiPen saga continues from American Public Media. This is Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Magoosh, online test prep for the GMAT, GRE, LSAT, SAT, ACT, TOEFL, and Praxis. Prep smart, go far, and enjoy the ride at Magoosh.com.
In Los Angeles, I'm Kyle Rosella. It's Monday the 29th of August. Great as always to have you along, everybody. Today in, wow, that didn't take long, did it? This news, the drug maker Mylan has responded once again to the outrage over the price increase of its flagship product, the EpiPen. Remember last week, the company offered a discount coupon. Today, a generic version of the EpiPen put us up with half of the branded item for price. Good PR, yes, sure, if that's your thing. Also, though, a savvy business decision that's going to help Mylan maximize its EpiPen profits. From the help desk at WHYY, here's Marketplace's Dan Gorenstein. Get us going.
So, the math seems pretty simple. Mylan says in the next few weeks they'll introduce a 2-pack of EpiPens for $300, 50% cheaper than the identical branded product. But even if everybody starts buying the cheap stuff, the company will still come out ahead. University of Chicago economist Rena Conti said that's because the company offers lots of discounts and rebates on the branded drugs.
Mylan is claiming that they're going to cut out all of those discounts and rebates. That means that Mylan's net price may actually not change as much and may even go up.
Mylan did not return a call seeking comment. The company hopes today's news helps it slide out of the spotlight after making headlines for jacking up the price of EpiPens by more than 500%. The life-saving product treats severe allergic reactions. But this could be a really good deal for Mylan. Harvard physician Aaron Kesselheim says launching its own generic could scare off any of the competitors.
The strategy here is to try to delay full, broad generic competition as long as possible and to maintain some fraction of the generic market for themselves.
Unintentionally, doctors may actually help Mylan corner the generic market. Dr. Keely Godwin practices outside of Raleigh, North Carolina.
We're in a rush and we're trying to get things done, and so doctors are a little bit lazy when they do that stuff. And so there we go. We write the easy thing that we know.
In other words, docs will keep prescribing Mylan products, whether it's the branded EpiPen or its generic version. I'm Dan Gorenstein for Marketplace.
One hates to pry, but what'd you have for breakfast? Coffee, maybe? Tea, perhaps? Toast or cereal or something? Was there any orange juice in there, though? Chances are not, and if there was, it almost certainly wasn't the kind that comes frozen from concentrate. You know, the kind where you mix the water in? Therein lies part of the problem that orange growers are facing right now, a problem that is affecting orange futures trading as well. Julie Warnow writes about the orange market in the Wall Street Journal today. Julie, thanks for coming on.
Good to be here.
So what, pray tell, has happened to the frozen orange juice concentrate market? Because it used to be, I mean, like my childhood. You take that out of the freezer and boom, you got it again.
Right, it's like the first thing that you learn how to make as a child. This is a market, this little market that is literally fighting to survive. First of all, people aren't drinking as much frozen concentrated orange juice as they used to. I don't know when the last time you had a glass was. There's a huge trend now toward better nutrition and less sugar and premium ingredients and less processed food, and none of those describe orange juice. We also have disease that is just ripping apart the orange growers in Florida.
This is the greening.
That's right. I mean, essentially, if you think about it, it's this disease plus acres in Florida that are it's just abandoned land, and so it's a problem.
Yeah. No, there's a quote in your piece from a grower in Central Florida. He says citrus isn't really making anybody anything right now, and that's a recipe for a market that's not going to be around.
Yeah, I mean, these citrus growers have been through a lot over many years. I mean, I talked to a guy who in the 80s, his groves froze. There's a huge freeze across Florida. They replanted everything. A few years later, the same thing happened. They've been through hurricanes. A lot of them just aren't giving up. But the problem is with this particular disease, what it literally leads to is fewer oranges, right? So that's less money that you're producing per tree. And then you also have to pay a ton of money for new trees and pesticides. And so they're just not making those margins.
Julie Wernow writes in Wall Street Journal today about the frozen concentrated orange juice market, which is in some trouble. Julie, thanks very much.
Thank you.
On Wall Street this Monday, traders took another look at Janet Yellen's speech from last Friday out in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and then they thought about the August jobs report that's coming this Friday and set about wrapping up August on a high note. It looks like we'll have the details when we do the numbers. Cutting their jail and prison populations a lot in the past couple of years. But even with fewer prisoners, you do still need prison guards. This is no story. Because it's a tough job. One, because low conditions are difficult, and not a whole lot of people want to do it. So just about every state has a shortage, especially in Florida, which has lost 11,000 corrections officers. Lisa Roth went down to see what's going on.
3 years ago, Lisa Emory quit her job as a corrections officer in a Florida state prison. And she took a new job as a corrections officer at a county jail. It was a lower range position, but it paid a lot more. She liked the old job, she just couldn't afford to keep it.
To be honest, I was close to losing my house. There were times that I couldn't afford to put food in my refrigerator.
By the second year in her new job, she had nearly doubled her old salary. And she was still doing essentially the same thing, which is supervising inmates, though the hours were different.
I always worked days when I was in the state because I had seniority. But coming here, since I have no seniority, I'm on nights.
We're sitting in front of the jail where she now works. It's hot and humid, even when it's dark out. It's really quiet except for the air conditioner buzz and the bugs. Officers all over the state take all kinds of jobs. The starting salary in a state prison is $28,000, and officers haven't gotten a substantial raise in years. Florida has one of the biggest prison populations in the country and some of the lowest starting salaries of any state. Some union leaders and lawmakers say the shortage puts officers in danger.
Franklin Correctional Institution is under lockdown after a group of inmates stopped listening to orders over the weekend.
As the local ABC affiliate WTXL reported, there have been cases of unrest in the state prison, at least 3 just this year. The state used to have more correctional officers, so an officer could leave a post to deal with an inmate, and there would still be enough staffing on the floor.
We don't have those positions anymore to do that.
Julie Jones, the Secretary of Corrections, knows the state needs more officers. In January, she told the legislature's Criminal Justice Committee that staffing levels were too low during one of those incidents.
So, were we staffed to critical complement? Yes. Were we appropriately staffed? Sir, no.
She says what's happened is that crisis staffing levels have simply become the norm. Lisa Murray, the former state prison officer, says as a lieutenant in the state prison, she had to find ways to cut corners.
Okay, well, what am I going to leave? Unmanned. I can't leave a dorm, but, where a dorm is supposed to have 2, maybe 3 people, I've got 1.
That's dangerous. It's also demoralizing because officers end up working harder and longer. And sometimes they have to do mandatory overtime at the last minute.
10 minutes, maybe. And that's it. That's all the warning you get.
That's Daniel Toledo. He quit his job as a state corrections officer to become a cable guy at Comcast. I talked to him in a convenience store in his house in Naples. He says it's not the salary that makes it worthwhile, since he's only earning about $1 an hour more than he was. But he gets raises and bonuses, and more important, he's not commuting 3 hours a day. He works days, and there's no mandatory overtime.
I am telling you, if you were due to leave at 8 o'clock,
you would wind up at 7:50 getting that phone call, and the captain will tell you, oh, you gotta work a double. It might happen twice a week.
The Department of Corrections says it's planning to hire 4,000 new officers by this time next year to fill those empty positions and to replace the officers who keep quitting. In Naples, Florida, I'm Elisa Ross for Marketplace.
Nary a week has gone by this summer without news of some kind of computer hack. Everything from a celebrity social media account to the Democratic National Committee or even the National Security Agency. All of this is just the latest evolution of a field once known as cybernetics, a term coined in the middle of the last century to refer to machines, smart machines really, and how they fit into the systems of our lives. It's also the operative word and title of Thomas Ridd's new book. He's a professor at King's College London. The book is called Rise of the Machines, a Cybernetics History. Professor, welcome to the program.
Hello, pleasure.
I wanted to frame this book more in terms of the sort of the economic policy discussions and the political discussions that we are having today. And I want to start with a quote from this book from John Kennedy at a press conference in 1962. He says, I regard it as the major domestic challenge really of the 1960s to maintain full employment at a time when automation, of course, is replacing workers. It is not new, this idea that the robots are going to steal our jobs, right?
This idea that the robots could take over jobs and dignity at the workplace is an old idea. It dates back to the early 60s, late 1950s even, at least. And the fear that robots would take over came first as a hope, because first it was a good thing, automation, and then very quickly the pessimism and the fear.
But it's interesting because, you know, you say, just talking about us trying to figure out what the future was going to bring, you end the book by saying futurists don't always get the future wrong, but they almost always get the speed, the scale, and the shape of the change that is coming wrong.
We have this tendency to overestimate how quickly technical change will come. Now, the problem is that in the early 2000s, the change, I think, of smartphones and touch screens came indeed very quickly. And so we are spoiled. We think it will just continue in that speed of technical change. But I think that is probably not the case. History tells us that probably we're looking at a period of slowing down of technological change at this point.
Why do you say that?
Well, because the debate right now has all the trappings of really overstating both hope and fear of cyber. You can say, okay, the West Coast in the United States, Silicon Valley, they tend to be too optimistic, and parts of the East Coast, I'm thinking of the intelligence community and the security establishment in DC, they tend to be too pessimistic. It's freedom against war, cyber hope against cyber war.
We're already there, though, this idea of cyber war. Since you mentioned the intelligence community on the East Coast, I mean, the last 3 weeks or a month with the hacks of the Democratic National Committee, and I mean, it is already happening, but only now coming to general public attention.
Indeed. So what I'm trying to do in the book is portray the first big cyber attack against the United States government, military, and indeed private sector. And it started exactly 20 years ago in 1996. And it turned out at the time already to be a Russian attack. Now, it is remarkable that the exact same adversary has simply evolved since then. The first cyber war, if you like, has never stopped. But the way we imagined it for those 2 decades was completely different from what actually happened. It wasn't planes falling from the sky or, chemical factories exploding. It turned out to be spying, and now it turns out to be somebody trying to clandestinely influence the US election by tricking journalists, by tricking politicians, by tricking normal people to believe things that the other side wants them to believe.
Thomas Ridd is a professor at King's College London. His book about the subject at hand is called Rise of the Machines. Professor, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Coming up, you want to see someone getting on a Harley Davidson and tearing up the street, because you couldn't do it before.
Seniors with money to burn, but first, let's do the numbers. Dow Industrial's up 107 points on this last Monday in August, up to 0.5%, 18,502. The Nasdaq added 13 points, 0.25%, 52 and 32. The S&P 500 up 11 points, about 0.5%, 2180. We told you about the decision by Mylan, the EpiPen maker, to create its own generic. Mylan shot up 0.4%, getting shot. Teva Pharmaceuticals that tried to acquire Mylan last year by the box is also developing its own generic EpiPen, down 0.6%. You do have to wonder what the CEO of that company is thinking. Pharmaceutical giant Merck gained a 0.25%, just throw another name in there. In the high-stakes world of casinos, odds against Caesars Entertainment today after a U.S. judge cleared the way for a multi-billion-dollar bondholder lawsuit to proceed. Caesars cut more than 15%. Las Vegas Sands boosted 1.1%. The yield on the 10-year T-note held steady as its price, 1.56%. You're listening Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Progressive Insurance, protecting commercial vehicles and offering specialized coverages designed to protect your business. More at progressivecommercial.com. And by Malwarebytes. Businesses worldwide use Malwarebytes' multi-layered defense to break the attack chain and protect against advanced online threats like ransomware. More information at malwarebytes.com.
In 1963, nearly 2 dozen teenage girls spent more than a month in a Georgia stockade after trying to immigrate for her movie theater. I snuck away from home. My mom didn't know where I was. My brother was not home. And here I am being arrested. That's just one of Georgia's hidden histories. Do you have a story to tell? Let us know by emailing news@gpb.org. And be sure to put hidden history in the subject line. GPB News, empowering you one story at a time. Support for GPB comes from our listener members and the Southern Environmental Law Center, protecting healthy air, clean water, and special places throughout the South, from the mountains to the coast. Information at southernenvironment.org. And Valdosta State University offering over 100 majors, advanced degrees, online courses, and championship athletics. CSU students launch their futures on a historic campus where individual experience is the priority. More information at valdosta.edu.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Wilda. All right, any guesses how much money Disney has grossed at the box office so far this year? Just for some context, as you try to add it up in your head, we're talking Finding Dory, Zootopia, The Jungle Book, Captain America, Civil War as well, which I personally thought was meh, but which isn't really relevant right now. Yeah, it's a big number. Anyway, $2.1 billion, and it's not even Labor Day yet. But there was a time when Disney wasn't the money-making machine it is right now, when it was just kind of a place where artists could go and do some really good creative work. That business is the subject of a series of books by a guy named Didier Guez. It's called They Drew as They Pleased, the latest installment of which is The Hidden Art of Disney's Musical Years in the 1940s, Part 1. Mr. Guez, thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Put this book, this time period of Disney's evolution in context for me. We're in the 1940s.
The 1940s at Disney are really well known as being marked by two things. The first one is the 1941 strike at the Disney studio, which was a very traumatic event for Walt Disney. And the other thing is, obviously, World War II, which closes down the markets that Disney had in Europe. But from a creative standpoint, the 1940s are the most creative period of the Disney studio. And those ideas about in the 1940s are really going to influence the Disney studio for years and years to come, until the 1950s at least, and sometimes longer than